There are moments in life when emotions run high and stories take on a dramatic tone, especially when someone feels misunderstood or wrongly judged. In this message, the central idea revolves around the feeling of being misrepresented and the emotional weight that comes with it. It speaks to the inner experience of sensing that others may be forming false assumptions or attaching labels that do not reflect reality. When people go through such situations, it can create anxiety, confusion, and a deep desire for clarity and fairness. At times, these feelings are intensified by overthinking or by hearing conflicting voices around us, which makes everything feel heavier than it actually is. The important thing in such moments is to slow down mentally and separate emotion from fact, allowing space for truth to become clearer. Instead of reacting impulsively or believing worst-case interpretations, it helps to step back and evaluate what is actually known versus what is assumed. Many misunderstandings in life are not permanent or intentional, but rather the result of miscommunication, stress, or external influence. When we approach such situations with patience and grounded thinking, the sense of pressure begins to ease. It also becomes easier to focus on personal stability rather than external noise. Every individual has value beyond the opinions or stories created by others, and no single narrative defines a person completely. With time, clarity tends to replace confusion, and situations that once felt overwhelming often become more understandable and manageable. Archangel Michael says, "I will shout the truth so loud that even the demons who planned this will fall on their knees." And now, I ask you something important. Stay with me. Don't skip even a single line. Because this is where the chains of falsehood break. And before I continue, hear me clearly. This message was placed before your eyes for a reason. Don't let it slip. Don't silence heaven. And beloved, if this voice touches your soul, make sure you subscribe now. Because every message sent here is not just words. It's your shield, your warning, your miracle in motion. Don't wander without heaven's covering. Stay connected, because the next message might just be the one that saves your entire destiny. Now listen. The one who accused you, they were close, they smiled at you, they pretended to care, but jealousy burned them from within, and they wanted to see you fall. Archangel Michael says, "Do not fear. Their lies will not win. Their name will be revealed, and justice will not only clear you, it will lift you higher than before." God says, "If you stay with me, I will turn their trap into their downfall. But if you skip, you risk walking straight into the pit they dug." This is your moment, my child. Do you hear how urgent this is? Heaven is screaming for your attention. Don't scroll away. Don't silence this, because in 2 minutes the doors close. And once they close, the chance to know their name, the chance to protect yourself, the chance to stop the false punishment will vanish. Archangel Michael is standing right now, sword lifted, waiting for your answer. Will you skip, or will you claim the truth, my beloved child? The moment your eyes touched these words, heaven leaned closer. You may not realize it yet, but the veil between the spiritual and the earthly world is thinner right now than it has ever been in your life. God's hand is stretched over you, trembling with urgency. Archangel Michael's sword is already raised, shimmering with divine fire. And still, there are shadows moving against you, shadows who dared to write a false story in your name. This is not light gossip, not a small wound. No, my child, they have forged a crime, a false crime, and they have stamped your name upon it. Their intention is cruel, to bind you, to strip your dignity, and to watch you be dragged where you do not belong. Jail, that is what their envy has whispered into existence. Jail, chains, punishment for what you did not do. And yet, heaven refuses to let this destiny unfold if you will stay with this message until the very end. Do not think this is coincidence. The exact second you paused here, the heavens themselves aligned for this confrontation. God said, "Reveal it. Do not allow my child to suffer the weight of an unjust name." And Michael, who has been waiting like a lion in chains, now steps forward and declares, "Beloved, only 2 minutes remain. If you turn your eyes away, the lie will proceed unchecked. If you hold on, if you refuse to skip, the chains will shatter. The one who accused you has long smiled at your victories, only to curse you in secret. They wore friendship as a mask. They wore love as a disguise. But in their heart, they sharpened knives against you. And tonight, heaven is exposing them. Their name is not far from being revealed. But first, your faith must anchor you here, because the truth cannot be half seen. It must be fully opened, fully embraced. Do you feel that trembling inside your chest right now? That uneasy flutter that doesn't quite go away? That is your spirit recognizing the danger that was planted against you. You already knew, in some silent corner of your being, that someone was plotting. You already felt the shift in the air, the heaviness, the strange glances, the inexplicable tension. Those were not just coincidences. They were heaven's early warning signs. But this message, this is not just a whisper. It is a thunderclap from above. God himself says, "My child, I beg you, don't skip this, or you'll be the one who pays the price." Michael adds, "Don't think this is exaggeration. I have stood at the gates of justice, and I see their plan unfolding. But if you remain, if you listen, if you hold fast, their plan will collapse. And instead of you being dragged into false punishment, it will be them who face the exposure of their hidden deeds." Imagine, for one moment, if you ignored this. Imagine walking into a trap, blindfolded, unaware that someone else had written your fate. But now picture this, the blindfold falling, your eyes opening, the liar's name revealed before you. The court of heaven turning, not against you, but for you. That is what is at stake right now, beloved. But before I tell you more, let me ask you something very important. If these words have reached you in a way that stirs something deep inside, do not dismiss this moment as ordinary or random. Let it stay with you, as if life itself is quietly trying to guide you toward clarity, strength, and protection. There are times when unseen weight surrounds a person, when misunderstandings spread faster than truth, and intentions get lost in noise. You may feel that someone has spoken against you unfairly, building a version of events that never truly belonged to you. But even when things appear settled on the surface, truth has a way of surfacing at its own time, without force or noise. What is hidden in silence is not forgotten. It simply waits for the right moment when understanding becomes unavoidable. Those who rush to judge often believe their story will remain untouched. But life has a different rhythm than assumption. Every action, every word, every intention eventually finds its place in the larger unfolding of consequences. And in that unfolding, what was once unclear begins to shift, revealing what was previously overlooked. So hold steady through uncertainty, not in fear, but in quiet trust that truth has its own timing. Do not carry the burden of others' misunderstandings as if they define who you are. Stay grounded, stay aware, and allow time to do what it always does when patience is not broken. Because in the end, what is real does not need to shout. It simply becomes undeniable. And as clarity slowly returns, you may find that what once felt overwhelming begins to lose its grip, leaving behind space for peace, understanding, and a quieter sense of strength that no accusation can take away from you. Even now, as you are reading, the very fabric of their plan is unraveling. What they intended for evil, heaven is weaving into your protection. The lie is fragile, and your faith is the hammer that breaks it apart. The moment you remain here, the moment you don't skip, is the moment heaven strengthens your shield. So listen, because in the coming lines, their identity will not remain hidden. The chains that were meant for you will be seen for what they are, traps of envy and hatred. And instead of your name being dragged through mud, your name will shine brighter than before. This message is not just a warning, it is a deliverance. The very act of your obedience, of staying here, of opening this fully, is activating heaven's hand to strike on your behalf. Beloved, this is only the beginning. My beloved child, heaven is still speaking. When you opened this, something in the spirit world shifted. What was hidden in silence for months, even years, began to tear apart. You may not see it yet with your natural eyes, but in the unseen, Archangel Michael has already stepped between you and the punishment that was written in falsehood. God is roaring, no more. My child will not carry this curse. My child will not walk into chains that are not theirs. This is why your chest feels heavy, why your heart is racing, because the battle is not light. The one who accused you thought they were clever, thought no one would find out, thought their words would stick to your name like mud. But heaven does not allow lies to remain forever. Truth is a flame, and tonight it burns brighter than the darkness. The accuser is close, so close that you may not want to believe it. They walked near your table, they smiled in your presence, they pretended to clap for you when you rose higher, but behind your back they signed their name on a paper dipped in poison. God says, I saw it all. I recorded every word. I will not allow you to suffer the fate they planned. The false charge they have thrown on your name is not just a story. It was designed to strip your destiny, to rob your freedom, to paint you as guilty when your hands are clean. But do you remember what is written? No weapon formed against you shall prosper. This weapon was formed, yes, but it will not prosper. Still, my child, you must remain. Because if you skip this message, you step away from the very shield that God is stretching over you right now. Michael says, stay. Do not scroll away. Do not silence this voice. For the one who accused you thinks their plan is already sealed, but heaven has the power to overturn it if you hold your ground. Do you understand? The balance is fragile. Your obedience to stay is your anchor. Let me tell you something you must not forget. There are moments in life where one choice, one decision, one act of obedience determines the course of everything that follows. This is one of those moments. You were not brought here by chance. You were guided here. Your angels have been whispering, tugging, pulling, because they knew this revelation must reach you. You have only minutes before the spiritual window closes, and if you do not open this fully, the warning dissolves. That is why the urgency in your spirit is so strong. And listen, because God does not only warn, He delivers, He restores, He multiplies. What was meant for your downfall, He will use for your elevation. What they whispered in dark corners, God will shout in light. The very lie they tried to bury you under will become the ladder that lifts you higher. Michael says, Beloved, don't fear. The truth is not weak. The truth is a sword, and tonight I am wielding it in your defense. But before I continue deeper, hear me. These words you are receiving now are not just for today. Tomorrow, there will be another plot. Next week, another trap. Next month, another lie. That is why you cannot walk unguarded. Stay covered. Subscribe, beloved. Subscribe, because every message that flows here is not chance. It is rescue. It is direction. It is a map when the road is filled with fog. The ones who skip walk into walls. Staying spiritually grounded and connected often brings unexpected clarity and new openings in life. When a person remains aligned, instead of isolating themselves, situations that once felt confusing begin to reveal their true shape. And now, attention shifts back to the one who raised accusations. Over time, inconsistencies in their version of events begin to surface, and what once sounded convincing starts to lose its strength. People who were quick to repeat the story are now pausing, questioning details they previously accepted without thought. That is how truth slowly separates itself from distortion. It doesn't need force, it simply becomes harder to ignore. Eventually, those who attempted to damage another's reputation find that their own actions come under scrutiny. There is no need for confrontation or revenge, because circumstances have a way of unfolding on their own. What was hidden gradually comes into view, and understanding replaces confusion. In such moments, a person who was wrongly targeted often finds themselves standing steadier than before, not broken but refined by the experience. The desire to see others fall is replaced by the reality that negativity often circles back on its source. Guidance, intuition, and inner awareness become important tools during such times, helping a person avoid missteps and remain clear-headed. There is also a strong reminder here to stay alert and observant, not rushed or distracted by noise. Truth does not arrive all at once, but it does arrive in stages, each one bringing more clarity than the last. And as events unfold, what once felt heavy begins to lift, leaving space for renewed confidence and a stronger sense of direction in life. But if you remain with me, line by line, paragraph by paragraph, you will not only know their name, you will also understand why heaven has chosen you, why the enemy fears you so much, and why your destiny cannot be stolen, no matter how many lies are written against you. My beloved, do you realize how precious your name is in heaven? When you were born, angels carried your name to the throne of God, and he wrote it in his book with fire. That's why the enemy has always hated you. That's why people you trusted sometimes turned cold. That's why envy seemed to follow you when blessings touched your life. Because your name carries weight, it carries promise, destiny, light. And the darker the world grows, the brighter that light becomes, and the more it draws the attention of jealous hearts. This is why someone close to you decided to twist your name with lies. Not because you are guilty, but because your innocence shamed them. Not because you did wrong, but because your right living convicted them. They wanted to drag you low, so their shadow would not look so dark beside you. God says, "Do not fear, my child. I will not allow your name to be chained." And Michael thunders, "I will split the sky if I must, but this false crime will not bury you." Even now, beloved, you are walking on a razor's edge of destiny. You may not see it, but the paperwork has been whispered, the story has been crafted, and the plot is near completion. Yet heaven has exposed it before the trap could close. That is why your spirit is stirred. That is why your chest feels tight, your mind uneasy, your nights restless. You sensed it. You knew something wasn't right. And now the confirmation has come. Think of this. If you skip, if you walk away, you are turning your back on the very key that unlocks your freedom. God has placed this message in front of you because he knows the power of revelation. To see a lie is to break its power. To hear heaven's warning is to cancel the devil's trap. This is your moment, your chance to step into safety before their lie becomes your sentence. But if you ignore, the shadows rejoice. They will say, "We fooled them. We blinded them. We made them scroll away." And then the enemy's false story gains ground. Beloved, do not let that happen. Michael says, "Stay. Do not leave. I have been waiting to reveal the truth." The accuser's name is not far from your ears now. It is close. The same lips that smiled that you spoke against you, the same hands that pretended to help, were signing your downfall. Yet those hands will be exposed, their smile will wither, their lie will crack, and when it does, your name will rise even higher, because this is the secret. God always turns attacks into testimonies. The same pit Joseph's brothers threw him into became the path to his throne. The same cross they nailed Jesus to became the doorway of resurrection. The same false crime written against you will become the platform for your blessing. But listen carefully, my child. Blessing comes to those who stay awake. Do not slumber in this hour. Do not skip the words that heaven is breathing. Every sentence here is a shield forming around you. Every paragraph is a sword being sharpened. The longer you remain, the stronger your defense becomes. And hear me, this message is not just for now. There will be more warnings, more revelations, more truths. That is why you cannot walk alone. Subscribe, beloved. Stay covered under this stream. Do not wander in a world where the enemy plots daily, where lies are spun like webs. Keep yourself under the flow of heaven's words, because tomorrow may bring another plot, and you will need the next message to guard your steps. Now, beloved, let us go deeper. The accuser is not just an enemy. They are someone who once stood close. Their betrayal cuts, because you never imagined their lips could form such lies. But heaven says, I saw it before it happened. I heard their whispers before they spoke. I will not allow them to finish what they began. That is why you are reading this now, because the window is closing, the hour is late, and the lie is spreading. Yet heaven has declared, no, it stops here. My beloved, you must understand something so important. The battle against you is not because you are weak. It is because you are chosen. If you were ordinary, if your life had no weight, if your soul carried no light, the enemy would not waste his weapons on you. But because you are marked, because you are favored, because there is a crown waiting for you, the darkness cannot remain silent. The very reason you are attacked is proof that you carry treasure inside. The situation surrounding the accusation linked to your name was never truly about your character, but about the influence, direction, and purpose tied to your journey. At its core, it was an attempt to disrupt your momentum, to shake your confidence, and to cloud your sense of direction. Yet despite the weight of it, there is a deeper reminder here that such efforts do not define your outcome. There is a strength within you that cannot easily be diminished, and a path ahead that is not easily blocked. What you have built with sincerity cannot simply be undone by misunderstanding or misrepresentation. The emotional impact of betrayal cuts far deeper than people often realize, especially when it comes from those once considered close or trustworthy. It leaves behind confusion, disappointment, and a sense of misplaced trust that is hard to reconcile. You invested belief, time, and openness, and in return, faced words that felt unfair and misplaced. That contrast is what makes the experience so heavy, because distance from a stranger is easier to accept than distance created by familiarity. Still, even in moments like this, there is perspective to hold on to. Not everyone's actions have the final say over your life or your direction. Truth has a way of gradually emerging, even when it feels delayed, and clarity often arrives in ways that were not immediately visible. What feels uncertain now may later become a turning point that reshapes understanding and strengthens discernment. Instead of being defined by what was said, you are being shaped by how you respond, how you continue forward, and how you preserve your inner stability. In time, what feels like disruption can become the very thing that redirects you toward greater awareness, protection, and growth. Because the accuser's words cannot live in the light. When the truth comes, lies die. But child, you must stay in the light. That is why you are here. That is why you cannot skip. That is why this message burns with urgency. If you step away too soon, you walk into shadows unaware. But if you remain, line by line, you are covered, you are armed, you are shielded. Every moment you remain here is a moment the lie loses strength. Michael says, do not underestimate this moment. What is being written in heaven is greater than what was written by men. Stay under the shield. The sword is ready. The liar's time is short. And I must say this again. You cannot afford to drift alone. Stay connected. Subscribe, beloved. Each message that flows here is a divine rope, pulling you out of waters meant to drown you. Do not cut the rope. Do not silence the flow. Tomorrow, another lie could rise. Next week, another trap. But if you are covered, if you are connected, you will not be caught unaware. Remember, the one who walks with heaven never walks blind. Now listen carefully, because I will reveal something deeper. The accuser did not only plan to stain your name, they planned to profit from it. Their lie was designed not just to harm you, but to lift themselves. They believed that if you were silenced, they would shine. They believed that if you were chained, they would be free. But what they did not know is that you are not standing in your own strength. You are standing in God's covenant, and the covenant of God is not fragile. It cannot be broken by envy. It cannot be torn by lies. It cannot be stolen by betrayal. What God has written for you will outlive every false signature placed against your destiny. My child, I will tell you something you must never forget. Lies always burn out. They may glow for a moment. They may seem convincing. They may sway crowds. But truth is eternal, and truth is on your side. Even if men believe the lie for a season, heaven will overturn it. Even if voices rise against you, God's voice is louder. Even if papers are signed against you, the book of life has already cleared your name. The one who accused you does not yet know the cost of touching God's anointed. They thought they were clever, but they have dug a pit too deep for themselves. The very trap they built will become their grave. And now, beloved, prepare your heart, because their name is not far from being revealed. Michael says, I hold it in my hand, and soon the scales of justice will tilt. God says, stay awake, stay present, and you will not be blindsided. The truth will come, and when it does, my child will rise higher. My beloved, you are standing in a sacred moment, a line drawn between danger and deliverance. In the natural world, people may think life changes slowly, but in the spirit realm, everything can change in an instant. One accusation can shift a future. One lie can stain a reputation. One false charge can send a life spiraling. But heaven does not permit injustice to rule forever. That is why your heart was led here. You are not just reading words. You are sitting in a courtroom of heaven. The judge is present. The advocate is present. And Michael, the warrior, is here, sword in hand, crying out, do not allow this moment to pass. Do not skip, or the lie gains strength. Remain, and truth will roar louder. Think of the cost if you were silent. Think of the pain if you were left unprotected. The one who accused you knows the power of words. They know how fragile society can be when lies are dressed as truth. They believed if they spoke loudly enough, if they spread their story far enough, you would be crushed under the weight of suspicion. They believed no one would defend you, but they miscalculated. They forgot you are not walking alone. They forgot your name is etched in fire upon heaven's book. They forgot God himself takes false accusation personally when it is aimed at his child. Beloved, do you feel how serious this is? This is why your spirit trembles as you read. That trembling is not fear, it is recognition. It is your soul confirming that what you are hearing is real. This is your confirmation, your sign, your undeniable evidence that heaven is interrupting your path to keep you safe. The message is not here to scare you. It is here to spare you. That is why Michael said, only 2 minutes left, because heaven knows the window for intervention is small, but it is still open. And now, hear me, you must understand the root of this attack. It was jealousy. It was envy. It was the silent bitterness of someone who watched you rise and could not stand it. They believed your fall would heal their wounded pride. They believed your chains would free them from their own shadows. But envy never wins. Envy has a way of collapsing under its own weight. What is built in resentment often becomes unstable, and what is set in motion with harmful intent frequently returns to its source. Even the sharpest intentions, when guided by bitterness, tend to wound the one who carries them. Many spiritual traditions remind us that fear has less power when it is seen clearly, and that inner calm grows when awareness replaces panic. There is a quiet strength in staying attentive to one's thoughts and surroundings, not out of fear, but out of clarity. Once understanding replaces confusion, the same situations no longer hold the same control over a person's mind. It feels like a veil lifting, not through dramatic signs, but through gradual recognition and peace. In that space, a person begins to move more carefully, guided by reflection rather than reaction. Even moments that once felt heavy can bring a sense of relief when viewed with a steadier heart. Life often reveals patterns over time, and those patterns encourage discernment rather than fear. When truth begins to surface, illusions lose their grip, and what once seemed uncertain becomes easier to navigate. In this way, awareness becomes protection, not as a shield against imagined threats, but as a way of seeing more clearly. What matters most is staying grounded, patient, and observant as situations unfold, trusting that clarity grows stronger with time and experience. With patience, what once felt confusing gradually becomes understandable, and life begins to feel steadier, allowing decisions to be made with calm judgment rather than uncertainty or emotional reaction, bringing a deeper sense of balance and quiet confidence in daily living. Over time and growth naturally, the truth shouts in silence. It presses on the guilty heart. It gnaws at their peace, and soon it will not remain hidden. Soon the liar will face the very shame they try to place on you. And when that day comes, beloved, you will stand vindicated. You will stand cleared. You will stand brighter than before, because those who are purified by false accusations shine like gold tested in fire. And you, my child, are gold. You may not always feel it, but heaven knows it. That is why you were chosen to hear this, why this message came to you and not to another. Because you are in the furnace now, but you are not burning. You are being refined. The fire meant to consume you will only make you glow brighter. The false crime meant to bury you will only lift you higher. The name they try to stain will gleam like a crown. My beloved, you must not underestimate what is happening right now. Do you realize how many times heaven tried to reach you before this? In your sleep, in sudden thoughts, in strange heaviness that sat on your chest for no reason. Those were not accidents. Those were alarms. You brushed them off. You wondered if it was stress. You thought maybe it was just your mind. But now, the alarm has become a trumpet. This message is the trumpet. Michael is sounding it. God is pressing it against your heart. And the sound is this: do not allow the false accusation to become your destiny. Stay, remain, receive, and I will deliver you. The liar thought their words would wrap around you like a chain. They thought if they whispered enough, others would believe. They thought if they smiled at you while speaking against you behind your back, the disguise would remain strong. But heaven laughs at liars. Their words may travel fast, but truth travels farther. Their lies may deceive many, but truth cannot be silenced forever. Already, cracks are forming. Already, Whispers are unraveling. Already, their story is breaking. And the more you stay here, the stronger the unraveling becomes. Do you see how urgent this is? Time is not on their side. But you must not give time to their lie either. The reason God says, only 2 minutes left, is because in the spirit world, windows close, opportunities expire, warnings fade. That is why you must remain alert. Your obedience to listen is your shield. Your decision to remain is your rescue. Michael says, if my child will not skip, the truth will roar like thunder, and the false name spoken against them will collapse into dust. Beloved, I know your heart aches. You feel the weight of betrayal, the sting of lies, the fear of shame. But God says, do not carry it. Place it on me. I am your defender. You do not have to fight with your own hands. You do not have to prove your innocence by screaming louder than the liar. You only need to stay in the light, and heaven will fight for you. God himself will prove your innocence. Michael will swing the sword. The angels will expose the shadows. And you, yes, you, will walk free. But freedom requires faithfulness. Do not cut this short. Do not walk away before the revelation comes. If you stay, the liar's name will be revealed. If you remain, you will not be blindsided. If you hold on, you will watch the one who accused you crumble under their own words. That is why this message is long, because heaven is building a fortress around you with every sentence. Each paragraph is another wall rising, another arrow sharpened, another shield lifted. Stay until the fortress is complete. And child, remember this, what you are facing now is not the last battle. There will be more. Envy does not sleep. Jealousy does not die easily. That is why you must stay covered. Do not drift after this message is done. Subscribe, beloved. Anchor yourself here, because today it is a false crime. Tomorrow it may be a betrayal in love. Next month it may be a trap in finances. But if you remain under the shield of these words, every trap will be broken before it reaches you. This is not just about now, it is about your entire destiny. Now, let us go deeper still. The accuser's name is heavy on the tongue of heaven. Michael holds it, and when the time comes, it will be shouted. But know this, when their name is revealed, your world will shake, because you did not expect it. You did not think they could do this to you. That is why it will hurt, but it will also heal. Because truth heals, even when it hurts. In moments when life feels unfair and heavy, it often helps to remember that hardship does not define the final outcome. What feels like a breaking point today can, in time, become the beginning of something far more meaningful. Many who face deep misunderstanding or wrongful judgment in history later discovered that those same struggles became turning points in their lives, reshaping their path in ways they could not see at the time. Stories passed down through generations often speak of individuals who were tested by circumstance, only to emerge with greater clarity, strength, and purpose. Joseph's journey from confinement to influence, Daniel's survival through extreme trial, and the enduring message of resilience associated with Jesus all reflect a recurring theme found across time. Moments of deep injustice or pressure do not always signal an ending, but sometimes mark a transition towards something greater. When situations feel overwhelming, it is natural to fear the outcome, yet history repeatedly shows that outcomes are rarely defined by the trial itself. They are shaped by what follows after endurance, patience, and inner steadiness. What seems like a closed door may eventually reveal a new direction, one that could not have been imagined in the middle of uncertainty. Even the most painful misunderstandings can transform into lessons that build character and deepen perspective. So while the present may feel uncertain, it is not fixed in meaning. It is a passing chapter, not the full story. With time, What feels like loss or confusion today may be remembered as the moment everything began to change for the better, leading toward clarity, restoration, and a renewed sense of purpose ahead. For the window is small, and if you ignore it, you risk walking blind into the trap that has already been set. Michael speaks with urgency. Beloved, the liar thought their whisper would never reach your ears. They thought their scheme would remain hidden until it was too late. But here I am, sword in hand, pulling back the curtain. Do not waste this moment. Do not skip this message, or the one who accused you will succeed in pulling you down. These are not light words. They are the shouts of heaven. They are your lifeline. Do you feel that stirring in your spirit, that restless fire as you read? That is God Himself breathing confirmation into your soul. You already suspected someone. You already felt a heaviness around them, though you could not explain it. You already noticed signs, the way their eyes shifted, the way their words twisted, the way their smiles seemed hollow. And now, heaven is confirming what your heart already knew. They are the one. They are the accuser. They are the betrayer. And their name will not remain hidden for long. Child, I must tell you something else. This attack was not random. It was timed. They waited until they thought you were weak. They waited until you were distracted, until you were focused elsewhere, until your guard was down. They chose this moment because they believed it would hit hardest. But God says, I saw their timing. I will overturn it. What they thought was the perfect moment to destroy you will become the perfect moment to display my power in your life. You must hold this truth close. The darker the lie, the brighter the light of vindication. When the truth comes, it will not only clear your name, it will expose theirs. And when it does, those who doubted you will honor you. Those who whispered against you will fall silent. Those who try to bury you will watch you stand taller than ever. That is the justice of heaven. That is the promise sealed over your life. But beloved, stay close. This message is not finished. Do not walk away before the fortress is complete. Each word you receive builds a wall around you. Each line you remain strengthens your shield. If you skip, the wall is left unfinished, and the arrows of lies can pierce. But if you remain until the end, the fortress will be unbreakable. Michael says, stay, beloved. Only then will you see the liar fall. My beloved, the enemy thought their whisper would go unnoticed. They thought the darkness they wrapped around your name would stay hidden. But light cannot be hidden. Do you see how God works? He does not allow shadows to rule forever. A lie can stand for a season, but it cannot live for eternity. And in your life, the time of lies is ending. The false charge written against you is trembling even as you read this. The liar feels it, though they don't understand why. Their nights are uneasy. Their spirit is restless. Their confidence is cracking, because truth is pressing at the edges of their disguise. Do not fear what they said about you. Fear only what you would lose if you turned away from this revelation. Michael is pleading because he sees the papers. He sees the signatures. He sees the trap they laid, ready to spring. But he also sees the fire of God hovering above you, ready to burn the snare to ashes. If you stay here, if you remain, if you let heaven finish what it started. Child, this is what makes your story powerful. You are not defined by what they say. You are defined by who you are in God's eyes. They may call you criminal, but God calls you chosen. They may call you guilty, but God calls you righteous. They may call you weak, but God calls you beloved. Do not let their words stain you. Let God's words cleanse you. That is the difference between bondage and freedom, and you are meant for freedom. But I must tell you something difficult. When the truth comes, you will be shocked, because the accuser is not far. They are not a stranger. They are not distant. They are someone close, someone you trusted, someone you allowed into the circle of your life. That is why the betrayal cuts so deep. That is why it feels like a knife you did not see coming. But do not let the shock break you. Let it free you. For once the truth is revealed, you will see that their smile was a mask, their kindness was a performance, their friendship was an act, and when you see it clearly, you will be healed. God says, "My child, I beg you, don't skip this. Don't turn away, because if you leave before the revelation is complete, you will walk blind into their snare." Michael says, "The truth is at the edge of your vision. Do not close your eyes now, beloved. This is why you must remain. The story is not finished, and the ending is victory, but only if you stay with heaven until the end." Think again about Joseph, who was wrongly accused and placed in a prison that seemed like the end of his story. He could have surrendered to despair, believing his future had been erased, yet he chose patience and inner strength instead. In time, what looked like a downfall became the very path that led him forward, as the hardship he endured shaped him for a greater role and a deeper purpose. His story reminds us that difficult seasons are not always punishments or permanent setbacks. Sometimes they are hidden turning points that redirect a life towards something greater. What appears to be injustice can later reveal itself as preparation, building resilience, wisdom, and clarity that could not have formed in comfort. Even when others misunderstood or spoke falsely, Joseph did not allow bitterness to define him, and that endurance became his quiet strength. In the same way, moments of unfairness in life do not have the final word. Truth has a way of surfacing over time, even when it feels delayed, and integrity has a way of standing firm long after noise fades. Those who remain steady through hardship often discover that their character becomes stronger than the circumstances that tried to break them. What was once meant to diminish a person can instead refine them, shaping a deeper sense of purpose and direction. Life may test patience, but it also reveals hidden strength within it. And when the season changes, people often look back and realize that what once felt like a closed door was actually a redirection towards something they were meant to become.